I'm also joined by a legal practitioner, Dennis Osaretin. Good afternoon. Glad to have you join me.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me.
All right, let me kick off by asking, first of all, what's your impression or what do you make of the verdict, in court regarding reinstating Philip Shaibu as the Deputy Governor of Edo State?
Of course, let me say very quickly that we are yet to see the certified true copy of the judgment. But if anything, the press is to go by, I'm aware that the House of Assembly had instead a process of appeal, and they've also filed a motion for stay. So in the interim, what is important is that the House of Assembly has gone ahead to appeal, and Godwin Somobaya remains the Deputy Governor of Edo State.
Let me go to a component, raised in court, an element raised in court, which is gross misconduct. Yeah. Why do you think the court found the allegations against Shuaibu legally untenable?
Yeah, for me, that question is a matter of jurisdiction. What amounts to just gross misconduct lies within the remit of the House of Assembly. It is what they define it as that amounts to gross misconduct. Of course, I don't want to begin to preempt what the Court of Appeal will do, and we'll allow the Court of Appeal to do justice to that matter. But I'm aware, looking at judicial precedent of the subject matter, that what amounts to gross misconduct is the definition given to it by the House of Assembly and no one else, including the courts.
Well, we're not, strangers to these rancor, between the governor, and that's Godwin Obaseki, and his deputy, Philip Shaibu. Now, this verdict of Justice Omotosho regarding reinstatement of Philip Shaibu as deputy governor in Edo State, what would it imply or mean for Edo State currently?
For me, it means nothing, because as far as I'm concerned, the House of Assembly has taken a legal step of applying for stay of execution. Until the appeal is determined, Godwin Somobaya remains deputy governor of Edo State and nothing more pretentious.
Well, you foresee an appeal, from the loyalists to Godwin Obaseki. Is that right?
I said the House of Assembly has initiated the move to appeal, and they've since applied for a stay of execution of this judgment. And until that appeal is determined, nothing is in the offing for Philip Shaibu. Godwin Somobaya remains the de facto deputy governor of Edo State, and the state is very calm, and people are very, very, expectant of what the Court of Appeal will do on this matter.
Now, talking about the House of Assembly in Edo State, what legal grounds might Edo State House of Assembly use, to support the appeal against the Federal High Court's judgment?
I've told you that the Supreme Court have even defined it in a plethora of cases, that what amounts to gross misconduct is as defined by the House of Assembly and no one else. That is within their remit. And that's going to be one of the issues that are going to canvass at the Court of Appeal. I don't want to start preempting what the Court of Appeal will do, but I can tell you off the cuff that gross misconduct is as defined by the House of Assembly. So if they believe that Philip Shaibu's conduct and shenanigans amounts to gross misconduct, so be it. No one else can begin to interfere as to how they arrive at that conclusion. It is within their remit as defined by the Constitution, and that is the law as of today.
Now, looking at the politics playing out in Nigeria, if we take a look at, Edo State, is on the platter. We also have a case in Rivers State where, the current governor is having some crisis sort of with the former governor. When it comes to court litigations, the people are the center of, bearing the brunt. As a legal practitioner, what would you recommend in agreeing to a solution so that there can be development and then progress in a state, as against series of court injunctions back and forth?
Yeah, clearly, the case between Rivers and Edo is like comparing apples and oranges. They are clearly different in terms of material.
No, if you get me correctly, just to point out, I was saying it from the point of governance and progress in the state, where you have rancor and fracas. How best can parties work together to ensure the people who are at the receiving end, receive the events of democracy?
Yeah, for me, what is playing in Edo State clearly is so a few disgruntled politicians trying to bring down the rules simply because they cannot get what they are looking for. So it has to do with governance, it has to do with the interests of the state. Just a few, a handful of politicians who just want to bring down the roof, who just want to get what they're looking for desperately through the back door. And they're also fortunate that they're trying to deploy the judiciary to see if they can accentuate their inordinate desire. But I'm glad with some of the outcomes right now, it still clearly shows that the judiciary remains the last hope of the common man. And we are very pleased with what has happened, even with regards to the dismissal of the cases of Philip Shaibu.
Now, what legal recourse, does Philip Shaibu have? For instance, if the appeal by the Edo State House of Assembly, for instance, is successful, and then the impeachment is reinstated, just perhaps.
Yeah, for me, Philip Shaibu's remedy is for him to go and wait for his times, to probably wait for another time where he can probably run as governor for Edo State. But for now, the courts have decided his fate. He will have to wait. The appeal will go all the way to Supreme Court. The House of Assembly has applied for stay of execution of this judgment. He will have to be patient, and he should wait for the outcome of these appeals before he begins to bring down the roof.
Well, and wait we shall. Thank you so much for your insight on the news. Dennis Osaretin, legal practitioner. Many thanks once again.
Thank you very much for having me. God bless Edo State.